We are backstage. It's the LA Live Club Nokia. This must be I Prevail. How are you?
Yep, doing great. How are you?
Introduce yourself.
My name's Eric Vandenberg from I Prevail.
And what do you play?
I do vocals.
Vocals.
Yep.
Awesome, awesome. Now, coming up playing music, who were some of your people that inspired you to want to do this, and at what age did you start making the moves?
Let's see. Maybe I was like, I always listened to what my dad listened to, and that was Van Halen, Led Zeppelin, Jethro Tull, and that got me into like the more interesting side of rock, and then Queen and stuff like that. Well, when I got to like 13, 14, 15, I started getting into metal and heavy stuff, and the two bands that really I was into was Under Oath and Slipknot. The two bands that were like, I mean, like the heavier kind of music. And then through high school, it was just metal, pop punk, just anything really, anything in that rock world.
Yeah, as long as it moved you, man.
Yeah.
No matter the category.
Yeah, and then I was about 18, I believe it was. That's when I decided I wanted to start making my own music and such. So right when I started going to college, I was playing baseball and going to college and doing little local bands here and there, and that's when I knew I wanted to do this for a long time.
That's great. Now, when you were growing up, what was that first big show you saw with all the lights and effects and just blew your head off?
The first show I seen was outside. It was a big outdoor festival.
Okay.
It was, Ashes of Soma and Puddle of Mud when I was probably 14. And then a couple years later, I went and took a girl to go see first show. Fall Out Boy. Who else is in? Inner Party System, The Academy Is, and another band.
What city was that in?
That was in Detroit. That was back home. Yeah, back home in Detroit.
Well, I mean, Detroit's got such a history of rock and roll. I mean, from the 60s. I just saw, who did I just see last weekend in Bakersfield? Mitch Ryder and Detroit Wheels, but from Nugent to MC5 to Iggy Pop and Stooges, and of course Eminem and everything that's come out of there. Obviously it's a blue collar town. Yeah. It's the real deal, the Kid Rock, all that kind of thing. But what is it you think about Detroit? I mean, it goes all the way back to Grand Funk and all that. Mm-hmm. That really, Michigan, that makes like real great rock and roll.
I don't know, man. I think it's just the environment, just
or the work ethic.
The work ethic is definitely one of the things. I think maybe just a lot to do with broad culture down Detroit. I'm not down like central Detroit. I'm like in the outer suburbs of Detroit. That's why we say Detroit-ish. Yeah. But just the whole surrounding area is just very different culture and blue collar work. Yeah. So I think that might have to do something with it. Yeah,
but Flint and Ann Arbor and all that. Yeah. I know you got the big football rivalries with Ohio and all that going down. And what's your shirt? That's Volumes?
Volumes, yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, man. So have you guys done the Warped Tour?
No, we have not.
Okay.
We missed out on this year, but it could be next year.
Okay.
Possible. Yeah.
Talk about some of the bigger shows, some of the highlights, some of the interesting shows you've been doing.
Just to start off, we just started playing shows and touring. March 18th was our first show. So I mean, this has all been a whirlwind roller coaster. Wow. And I mean, the last March, April, May, what are we in June now? 3 months. It's been we had like 2.5 weeks off out of the last 3 months, so we've been touring nonstop. But the most memorable shows, gotta be right now, Hometown was awesome. Our third show on our first ever tour, first time playing our hometown and everything, 1,100 people sold out. So that was
all the friends and the family.
Family, and that's what we were walking out to expect to see, friends and family. But when you see, okay, I got a big family, and we got people in the band that got big families, but that's maybe 100, 200 people, and then when you see another 900, it's like, holy hell, there's people actually like our stuff. This is crazy. Yeah. So that was the culture shock moment, I guess, for me. But another big show would have been like Toronto and Calgary were fun. Just for I've driven, being from Michigan, you drive through Canada every now and then, but it's not something you go up there and drink a party, or
Toronto's not really that far away.
No. Well, you just go through Windsor and you go to New York, or you just party in Windsor. But this is the first time we went out international, played shows. That was cool seeing Montreal, the culture shock, like I said earlier. It's just
the
like
French speaking.
The French speaking, and we went all to Vancouver. That was we were a sketchy part of Vancouver. It was the area.
Oh,
was
yeah.
the
A lot
heroin
of heroin
capital.
down there, yeah.
We're sitting in our bus just looking out and seeing these
junkies.
I got probably 20 minutes of footage on my phone about.
Did the streetwalkers too? You had any prostitutes?
It was like The Walking Dead. You walk out and then
Yeah.
everyone's just zoned out. But
Yeah, no, it's sad.
I could say, yeah, it's terrible. But I mean, I could sit here just.
So you played any festivals or any package shows yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
But we do have 3 festivals booked for this coming summer and fall. So we just started announcing them. One's Common Ground in our hometown. The other one is Sonic Boom. That was just announced. And I don't know if the other one was announced yet, so I can't say. Oh, it was with Breaking Benjamin. It's in Iowa. I don't recall the name of that right now, but I'll get that for you.
Sure. Now, the units that you have right now, why these band members? What are the elements you guys are looking for? What is the common mind state, that makes this band what it is?
It was it wasn't that long of a process, but it was like we took our time to find people, and I was the third of the 4 core members, and then we picked up 2 touring members who were friends of ours. But it's kind of like when you're picking people up for a band, you got to think that these guys are going to be your family, and if things work out, like thank God they worked out here, you're going to be touring months on end, weeks on end, and you're going to be living. We have 11 dudes living in a rented RV. So that's a lot of people, and you got to learn how to deal with them. So that common mindset's got to be, you got to be a close family on the road.
But, mutual respect.
Exactly. But with the music and such, and what kind of music we play, I think that the whole mindset's just like uplifting, positive message in the music.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's working so well between us. That's the same kind of message we want to put out there. So.
Sure. I know you got Fearless behind you now.
Yes.
Talk about your impression so far of having a machine like that, because it's not the quote major label, but they're a major independent.
Yes.
They're a mini major. And they got big bands on there.
They do.
Yeah. Talk about your excitement to work with a crew like Fearless.
Working with Fearless, I'm excited. I mean, it's only been a couple months, so things are just starting to roll up, and it's a busy time for these indie labels because of Warped Tour and these festivals and such. But it's awesome. You would ask me like 5 years ago what my favorite labels were, and Fearless would have been one of the tops. So it's cool to see that we're actually part of this family, and when we need something, they got our backs. And
any particular bands on the label that you're most excited about being label mates with?
I could tell you the whole roster, but August Burns Red, I've been fans of for a long time. Pierce the Veil. Now I love pop punk. When they picked up Real Friends, and then now we're on the same label as this one pop punk band I love. It's awesome. It's so cool. But yeah, definitely those are the bands that are sticking out. They picked up a new band from the Ocean's 8, Alaska. And they're really technical, and I'm into that heavy music. Yeah. It's weird saying 1 minute heavy, next minute pop punk, but it's cool to be on the label with those guys.
Yeah. And your approach with this latest record, what's the process? How do songs come about? You somebody come in with an idea and you start fleshing it out?
Pretty cool. Yeah, pretty much that. This last EP, other than Blank Space, the last 7 songs were we came in, we're sitting like, what kind of mindset someone brought in, or Steve will come in with a guitar riff, or I'll come in with a couple lyrics or a poem I written or something, and Brian will come in with a melody or lyrics and lead a drum beat. We do it that way, but right before we wrote each song, we kind of sat down and said, well, what kind of mentality are we going through right now? Well, Crossroads, for example, was kind of like we wanted a positive, upbeat song that had a really positive message behind it, and that's where Crossroads came in, and kind of like just sat down and talked about how music's kind of shaped our lives and such. We wanted to put that out there. Let's see, Heart vs. Mind, that was another one that was, we all sat down, we're like, well, that was the last song we wrote. The first song, this EP was the last one we wrote, but the whole mindset behind that is we were all sat down, we're like, it's near the end of recording and we're about to put all this effort out forward onto the world. Well, what if this happens to take off a little bit? Are we ready to quit our jobs? And then the other half's like, we just put a lot of money into this. What if this flops and we do nothing and we're 10 steps back from where we were? So it's the heart versus mind, what your heart's telling you to do, what your mind's telling you to do. So we all sat down and kind of like collaborating with that. That's how our songwriting's been so far. It's just you sit down, we all have like a theme or what we're feeling. Can we just dive into that, jump into that, and see what comes out of it? So.
Yeah, that's important. You know, it's a changing business out there, but at the core of it all, it really comes down to great songs, great players, and a great team. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And you got that, with this band and with Fearless behind you. What's on the bucket list? What do you look forward to achieving? What's the goals?
That's it's tough just to say that. I have some, but it's tough to say that just because 6 months ago I was still serving pancakes at IHOP. So to think that I would have been playing music in Canada to California, doing a headlining run, selling out shows that weren't just a 300 person, it was 500, 600, 1,100 people selling those out. That still blows my mind. So I'm backtracking on my bucket list, but I've always loved to see Australia and the other side of the world. If I could play music over there, that'd be one. Yeah. It's all smaller things, but put out 5 records under this band and have them all do well. Yeah, have a good hefty catalog would be bucket list. But I think personally to play with certain bands like Linkin Park, A Day to Remember, those would probably be the 2 that I could think off the top of my head. Bucket list.
Last year, the Warped Tour in Ventura, it was a surprise. Linkin Park comes out and plays.
Oh, I was so bummed that I couldn't be out here. I saw them. They had like guest vocals. From
they had all the young bands come out.
That was cool.
I had a vocal with Chester, man. It was incredible.
That's awesome. Because I looked it up on YouTube and saw the camera phone videos. Yeah, and it's just.
Little do we know, I'm in the pit, man. I'm like, oh shit, I can't believe this,
Man.
But what advice do you give to the young bands coming out today? Because the business is constantly changing, but the need to have a great unit, a great set of songs, and an explosive live show is more than ever. So what do they need to focus on?
Top 3 things I can think of is make sure you take your time, quality music, and put your heart and soul into it. Number 2, just don't give up. It's a lot of work, and there's a lot of problems that we run into, but they're good problems to have. I mean, they're good problems to have. So you're gonna hit the speed bumps, but just keep going. And I think the last thing I could think of is take your time with everything, and especially with social media was a big thing for us to reach out to people, and that's how we're meeting new people and new fans and making a bigger family with ourselves. Is we're taking our time, we're going through the motions. As boring as it can be some nights, where we're sitting on our tour bus and on our phones going through social media and just messages back as many people we can. And the flip side of that is when you're recording. It took us December 2013 to December 2014 when we released. We spent that whole year writing, recording, coming up with social media plans. So I mean, that's the best advice I can give you. Just take your time and put a fully heartfelt finished product out there, and that's the best thing you do.
It's really a marathon, it's not a sprint.
Exactly.
So why be in a hurry to fail?
Exactly.
It's all about that perseverance and dedication. I think a lot of young kids today in this internet age just want to point and click. Sometimes they don't want to put the dues in. We think of some of these generations before us that they played saxophone for 30 years to get to where they needed to be or whatever. What do you say to them? That there's really, there's no shortcuts. It's really about the dedication and perseverance.
It is. I mean, there's people back home or wherever just looking. It's like, you guys just came out a month ago. How the hell are you going on a headlining tour? How the blah 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 blah. Well, you don't see. We spent a year plus taking our time practicing 4 days a week, skipping parties and relationships, and putting in money and effort to write and record and practice. And then we gave our product out. So from the front side of things, all you see is the band that's been out for 5-6 months, but in reality it's been coming on a year and over half, almost 2 years. So I mean, it's I do see what you're saying with the point and click mentality.
They're looking for the shortcut, and there is not one. And even some of the bands breaking through now, they may be new to you, but like you said, they've been woodshedding or paying their dues or finding their slot for years to get to this point.
Look at Black Keys. The last 2 or 3 albums are the big ones that are just, man, where these guys come from? Well, shit, they've been around. They've had 4 or 5 albums prior to that. They've been around forever, but it's just now people are catching on. So it's, you never know. You don't know what a person's been doing in the meantime while you were busy with something else. So.
Yeah. Well, we thank you so much. We can't wait for the live show tonight.
Of course.
In this little tour leg in a nice big fashion in LA. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.